Greetings, gentle folk. Welcome to another Train Sim Classic video. Today we've got a pack to look at by DTM. This is dubbed the BN U25 because it's all essentially Burlington Northern predecessor roads before the merger. So I guess that's why it's named BN. It's a U25 pack. It's going to come with a U25b and the U25c. I've got the B's laid out in the front here, which you'll get, and then the C's kind of in the back. Complete with, as usual, a ton of rolling stock, including like 5 cabooses and some numerous various rail cars. Now, this is $19.99 standard price for the most part on Steam. It's going to come with 4 scenarios for Marius Pass. Of course, B and C truck units. You're going to get Burlington Northern, Great Northern, CB and Q or Burlington, Santa Fe, Frisco, and Northern Pacific, as well, of course, as the steel couple of cabooses and the freight cars. All right, so a little Wikipedia time. The General Electric U25, nicknamed, of course, the U-boat, which U stood for the Universal Series, which was General Electric's kind of foray into the road switcher market, all on their own. The first U25b from this line rolled out of production, I think they're built Erie, PA, about 1959. That's when the first one came out of the shop. Now, the number in the series regarded the horsepower. So U, Universal, 2500 horsepower. And then the letter at the end, of course, is the designated truck. So it would be B, Bobo, or C, Coco, or in this case, 4-axle and 6-axle. Sixel. Now, with the B unit series, about 500 of these were built, almost 500, 470 some odd, from 1959 to 1966. Along came the C units a bit later, which they built almost 120, about 110-ish, somewhere in there, which were built 1963 to 1965. They, of course, all contained the General Electric FDL 16 prime mover. Now, moving along to the 6-axle, the C unit, this was produced out of a kind of a funny story, but mainly a necessity. Some kind of phrase in there with necessity and father of invention and something like that. But the 6-axle was built because the railroad assisting to build or building the Oroville Dam in California needed a heavier product. So they looked to GE, and Erie said, no, of course we don't have any of these new Universal Series in any kind of 6-axle variants. So they made some. It's essentially still the B unit, except it was extended. The body was extended mainly to house the trucks and the movers within by about 4 feet, some odd. So it's 4 extra feet in length versus the B units up front. These are the C units in the back, of course. And they, of course, as well, had 6 axles instead of 4. Oh, the noise. All right, let's get this over with. So numbering and rostering, the CB and Q, or Burlington, had 6 units. They were numbered 100 through 105, and of course were sent to Burlington Northern, which then changed them from 5424 to 5429. The Great Northern unit, off here to the left now, they had 24 units built, numbering 2500 to 2523. They, of course, as well, were sent to Burlington Northern, which became 5400 through 5423. The Fay, let's get over to the Fay. The Fay units had 16 of their own, numbered 1600 through 1615, which later changed. They changed the numbers down the road. I'm assuming this here in this pack is those later numbers down the road. Frisco over here on the right, they had quite a bit. They had 24 units as well, just like the GN. Now, Frisco is kind of weird in the way they had some of these built. Some of them had a lot of different variations, different hood configurations, so on and so forth. But overall, they had 24 units, numbering between about 800 and 831. Of course, like I said, with varying ranges, numbers, hoods, and things of that nature. Now, the C units, as far as they were concerned, the CB&Q ordered 12 of these, numbered 550 through 561, which, of course, like most of this pack, were sent to Burlington Northern after the collapse, if you will, or merger, whatever you want to call it, 5630 to 5641. Northern Pacific, right now, had 30. They got quite a bit. So they had 30 units numbered 2500 to 2529. They, of course, were sent to Burlington Northern, who then renumbered them 5600 to 5629. And this is, you know, the Burlington unit. Of course, they didn't order them naturally, if you will, you know, like a lot of these roads did, because it came much, much later after the merger. So let's dive right in. Oddly enough, there was no Dovetail Live article on these. Usually Gare Bear, the guy that writes the articles for the North American stuff, usually writes about 12 to 56 articles per DTM or high iron simulation pack to be released, and that did not happen. Now, there were kind of some things floating around on Facebook, but in the official Dovetail sense, there was nothing. I checked even moments ago, and still there's nothing on their forum. I saw something on Facebook, but nonetheless, I found that quite odd. I know DTM have been working on these things for quite a while. DTM is one of those developers that'll have like 600 different models floating around and work on one for a little bit and go to the other one, work on that one, and it's like, you know, so these finally came out. Here they are, as per usual. It's a lot of stuff in this pack, which is a bit unnecessary, because you can pretty much guess, and I can pretty much already tell you, that a lot of it is wrong and just not very good. So it's not always the more the merrier. As I said, you know, in previous videos with DTM or TBT, etc., stick with one or two things. Make those one or two things really nice. Hone the craft on it. Don't, you know, I don't want some crappy $5.99 buffet. I want like prime rib or filet mignon. Not, you know, not, we don't need all of this. Just one or two nice units most definitely would have sufficed. It's also a weird pack in the fact that, you know, I'm starting to think my vision is going or something, or my PC or graphics card is nuking itself, because the colors look insanely wrong. It's just this massive grayscale. Everything is super, super washed out. It almost looks like when a game has HDR and you don't have HDR applied or something. It's just, they're all very gray, very bleachy, washed out. The colors don't look very good. Starting with the Frisco on the right, I'd say that's more of a magenta, which of course does not look correct. The Santa Fe, you know, again, I guess the yellow could pass, but that blue, my God, you know, what color is that? It's just, I'm trying to stay back a little bit because this cacophony of horrible sound coming forth. But yeah, that's like blurple. It's like a blueberry or something. That does not look right. Now, we have the Burlington Northern over here, which is kind of the most appropriate color out of this whole pack. Again, but it's whitewashed to hell and back. And if you look back at the C unit, you see how much brighter that one is? Your eyes are not deceiving you. It is a totally, totally different color than this one here. And then we've got my beloved, what have they done to my boy, Big Sky Blue. Now, this isn't the original Big Sky Blue, OBS. This is a sort of like a patch unit once BN got it. You can see BN there under the numbers. Again, the blue just looks so freaking off. It's, you know, it's doing all these BN predecessors dirty, big time. The Burlington or CB&Q unit is probably one of the other ones that looks somewhat realistic color-wise. Again, just super whitewashed and grayed out. And then this Great Northern over here, my lord. It's probably one of the worst ones as far as the color. They just, what even am I looking at? I just don't know. It's definitely not the right orange, and it's definitely not the right brown or whatever green that the GN called it. It's just so... So anyway, those are your B units, all incorrectly painted. The Northern Pacific one looks okay. I'm just not convinced by the logo and the red stripe. Again, it looks kind of like a magenta. And then we've got the super bright BN green, which again is totally different. Now, they did have a slight variation in real life of paint codes, but neither one of these look on par. And then the CB&Q or Burlington, it looks okay, okay-ish. Anyway, we'll look at those one by one here in a moment with the little doodads. We'll take a peek at the cabooses, or the caboose. You're gonna get 5 unnecessarily, like with all these locomotives and rolling stock. You've got the Northern Pacific, which again, the color's just so faded. Whatever this is, like Conrail, maybe, with the wrong logo. Frisco. And then you're gonna get 2 BNs. That one and this one. Now, by and large, these look okay. I feel like these cabooses look okay. That's about all I got to say about that. Like Mr. Gump. Here we have the rolling stock. So we got the whale bellies, which look weird. The coloring on here, like the Burlington, does not look good. It doesn't have any of the weight on the squares there. You know, a lot of this stuff is missing logos and stickers and whatnot. We've still got the extremely bright wheels, or axles, if you will. And these trucks are some of the trucks of all time. That is for certain. You know, I guess it's a new model. This is probably like the truly newest thing out of the pack to anything for Train Sim Classic North American wise. Do we have any of these? I don't think we do. They just look weird. I think by and large, a lot of it's got to do with the texturing or lack thereof, and the trucks. The trucks just do not look good. We've still got the wrong purple coupler and the 1920s handbrake on there. Yeah, we got some Logons, which yikes. Yeah, trucks are still not very good at all. They just look very, very cheap. I guess, are these actually 3D? I guess they are, the rib bits here. So there's that. The trucks just kill it for me, man, and they look absolutely massive. you know, I don't know if it's because of the coloring on the axles and the trucks or what, but they just look huge. They look like donk, you know, like a 1980s Cadillac donked out. It just does not look natural at all. Does not look right. We've got the thralls here, which again, are these new to Train Sim North American wise? I don't think so. I think we got some of these in other packs, not these roads. There are different various fills that come with these. I just didn't feel like putting them all down because this pack is just very uninspiring, in my opinion, from the get-go. You know, a little bit of the weathering does look a bit better here and there, but it's just this. It's like everything is painted in this kind of drab grayscale. It just, you know, there's nothing sharp about it. It's I don't know, but again, the tubs themselves look okay. It's just really the trucks and the axles that kill it for me. We got some 2bays, which if you want some good 2bays for these roads right here, you're going to want to go ahead and head over to Searchlight Simulations and get their free rolling stock pack, which include these and a myriad of other very nice 2bays and other stock. The green looks just too bright. That one looks okay because the gray or the white BN units were grayish, whitish, so it'd be hard to get that one wrong. Although it still looks like, look at the brown, you know, in the black here. It's just brown, it's just washed out big time. You got your collection of box cars, which is pretty much going to round out the rolling stock again. I mean, so the trucks here look a little better, as you can see. Now, trucks did vary over the years. Don't get me wrong; they're not one for one. But the ones, the old box cars here on the right, I feel like the truck overall does look a little bit better. There's a little bit more detail in those than the 2bays on the left. The axles look a bit more appropriate than these here. You can actually see a bit of 3D-ishness in the coils. Yeah. Still just super white. And look how wide they are, man. Like a race car wheel. Good Lord. It literally looks like it's been painted with white paint. Of course, the numbers are always very sharp and everything else is lacking. It just... How ridiculous does this look? I can't be the only one. I cannot. Santa Fe logo looks okay, as well as the font. No qualms there. This horrid BN green again. We have a CB and Q. This one looks okay. Way to the Zephyrs. It's still very, very low res. I mean, the whole model is. I think these are his models, but they're not new to Train Sim Classic. These were used in some other stuff. I can't stop looking at the wheels, man. Holy shnikes. God almighty. All right, the Burlington, another CB and Q. Color looks wrong as F. Great Northern. Again, it's just, you know, it's yard filler. You know, Northern Pacific, I think, is the last one. No, we got a couple more NPs. That's Great Northern, Northern Pacific. Yeah, I mean, the logos and everything look okay. It's just they're very low res. And we got Frisco. Ship it on to Frisker. And then I put this back here because we're actually going to run a set here in a minute. Just look at it. Let's check this out, guys. Look at the axles. These look a bit more appropriate, right? What in the hell is that? It's laziness. That's what it is. Instead of trying to hone in and make a couple of good things, let's make a massive bloated, you know, stomach fart of a pack for absolutely no reason, just because it's got a bunch of numbers. You know, there's no substance. I'm all about quality over quantity. I know there's a few blue hairs out there that'll downvote the video because I'm saying this, as with I do a lot of stuff that's high iron, TBT, or DTM, and I just want to give you a couple of blue hairs personal thank you. I appreciate it, Buzz and Gary. Love you guys. All right, moving right along, we'll go ahead and go up to the units here. So the rolling stock is just that. It's rolling stock. It's not very good. We'll start with the Frisco units. There are two that you'll get. You'll get the massive window there. All right, I'm sorry. Well, I'm gonna have to stop this and turn this crap down. 2 seconds. Okay, I couldn't even hear myself think, man. Jesus, if it was a good sound, it'd be something totally different, but it's not. All right, so the Frisco units, you got a couple here. You've got the big window unit in the middle there, and then the double. Let's talk overall model here for a minute, because largely these are going to be the same, pretty much one-to-one. You know, it is similar. You know, the likeness is there. Does it look really, really good model-wise and shape and dimension-wise? No, sir. No, ma'am. It does not. Largely the nose looks really funky. It's almost too curved at the top, like, you know, think of like the dome at the top here. Now, as well, I'm sure some of you may be getting ready to fire up your keyboards. There were different phases of these units, the Bs, and I think there are 1 or 2 phases of the Cs as well. And there were things that were done from different railroads as far as the noses and other bits and components. But this whole pack is pretty much going to be the same, as you can see down the line. The nose just looks really funky, as do the markers and where they're placed. I feel like they're too much on the edge, if you will, of where the two planes meet one another. You know, I think they need to be facing more forward a bit than on the side. So yeah, also that, the other big issue I've got with the, you know, the model shape overall is the cab roof. It, again, it just does not look correct. I feel like the bits over, you know, where the engineer and the fireman side are more slanted, where again this is just more kind of curved. So it just looks a little funky overall. There's just too many damn locomotives. I'm not going to look at each and every one, so we'll kind of pick and choose, cherry pick here. The diamond plate looks like he's going with something different for diamond plating. You know, it's a little better, but still that texture sampling, whatever is being used here, is way too wide. That needs to be narrowed down a lot. It looks too big. And what I'm talking about is the gaps between the little knobs here on the plating. It just looks way too massive. It's not the best looking texture either. We've still got these extremely paper thin steps. Just look at that, man. It's like, I've seen cheese graters that look better than that. Gosh. Oh, there's a light. Oh my God. Here's a step light. You got that right. Yeah, so some weathering was done. And yeah, I mean, you know, I'll give it to him that he's trying to step up his, you know, his modeling and whatever he uses, substance painter or something like that. Try and get these textures a bit, because the textures make or break stuff in Train Sim Classic. Hell, in anything, in any kind of simulator, whatever. And I will say that these, just looking at them quickly here, do look better than some of his older stuff. That is for sure. So I'll give it that. You know, there's little minutia detail like down in here on this pull bar. You know, little bolts and rivets, stuff like that. Still using the same crummy air hoses, multiple unit cables, and that purple coupler. Now, a lot of these varied as well on the plate. They did not all have that same kind of plate. The only one I think is different is the BN Big Sky Blue patch, which has got these, or this little bit right here that the hoses are hanging in. What about the C units? Yeah, so the BN C unit has that as well. Some of them did have actual curved, you know, plows or snow plows or whatever the heck. So they weren't all one for one like this. So that's kind of funky. A lot of your pull bar here as well, some of those were painted white, especially on Frisco units. The hand grabs, or the you know, the railing, the stuff up here, look different on some other Frisco unit photos and whatnot that I've seen. You know, of course, these don't have the little foot plate that you can let down. There's no chain. It just seems like a lot of stuff was forgotten, possibly. Now, they all have the same horns, which is a bit ridiculous, as you can tell. Now, I can also tell you that these most likely are, well, they may be his. This model might have been given to him, but I can pretty much guarantee you with all confidence that every single one of these locomotives and these roads did not have the same freaking horn. And I'm going to take a stab when we get in here what it's going to sound like. That's going to be that old crusty RS3 sound. I'm just going to guess. I'm going to guess. So there's no builder's plates or decals anywhere on here. It's just completely devoid of anything, of any kind of warning label, sticker, any of that. Just looks super bare and naked, if you will. There's no F for front on most of the units. I think one of them does have it, which is weird because I know that, you know, I think it was some federal mandate that happened whenever, but I think a lot of these by and large would have had it by then. If not, even when Burlington Northern got them and didn't get around to painting them yet, there still would have been an F on there at the very, very least. So none of them have that, I think. Yeah, it's weird. So it's like the Big Sky Blue patch does have it. You know, it's also got the different pilot. So it's very strange there. So yeah, there's no decals. I mean, look all the way around it. There's just pretty much absolutely nothing. Now, it isn't modern day tech or machinery, right, where there's literally decals. You know, so many decals that you can't even see the trees for the woods type of thing. But they did have decals and whatnot back then, and these just do not have any of those. Some of these had some funky angle plate things as well. Now, I don't know what the heck this is. I know some EMDs had them, and GE did as well, obviously. Maybe it was something in the back that like held something. If any of you guys know, please let me know. I've always wondered what these little plates that hung down like this were. A lot of these units did have these, of course, naturally, so some of that is right. But on the other hand, some of these were not painted with the road colors where they would have been painted, so it would have just been a, you know, black drab or non-painted, if you will, sort of like the trucks and the fuel tank and all that. I think all of them are painted. The Burlington Northern one isn't. The Big Sky Blue isn't. And that one is just part of the wrong color. But some of those are different. As well, a lot of these roads would have had beacons. They would have had beacons up top, right above the headlights, in the cab, in the middle, or top of the cab in the middle, of course. None of these have that. Again, that was another, you know, some states mandated or federal mandated thing as well, where, you know, it needed to be up there before the advent of ditch lights. But none of these have any beacons. None of these have any aerials either. A lot of these roads, especially by then, would have had, you know, radios in the cab. So there's no, you know, there's no antenna. There's no radio aerials. Nothing. It's just, they're just bare-assed. Same with the C's, which, you know, these were built several years later, so they most definitely would have featured some of this stuff. Again, nada. All right, let's see. Trucks. I noticed earlier there's no real... The trucks look okay. Honest, you know, to Tom Cruise's God. The trucks look okay. The modeling of the trucks look okay. It looks like he's kind of touched up the color and the width of the axles themselves. But the problem with some of these is you can see, like, say we're down here. Look at the engineer's side inner axle. It's just this kind of bright white, lifeless, you know, dinner plate. That doesn't look good. That needs to be darkened as well, so it's not as visible, if you will. So, why? There's always been kind of some truck issues over the years with DTM products, missing some things, most notably hangers, F units. But we're missing some stuff here. We're missing some chains. We're missing some hoses hanging down, and things like that. They just look very, very bare. Now, some of that stuff may have been pulled up and snapped up, tied up out of the way and whatnot, but for the most part, by and large, they would have had some chains hanging down for... I think the chains were predominantly for the, like the handbrake, weren't they? Tying it down. But you don't see any of that. You don't see any of the hoses, nothing. We'll go back to the C units here. Same dilly. There's nothing. And again, these, you know, these trucks look okay. They do look very decent. The edge wear, and I'm only learning that by you very smart people that do this kind of stuff, and I see that word thrown around, I'm like, hey, that's got to be what it means. Edge wear could be toned down a little bit. It's just, it looks way too prominent. They almost look like puzzle pieces, you know, how like the edges of the puzzle pieces are just very flat and sharp. That probably doesn't make any sense. But yeah, the trucks do look okay. They're probably one of the better parts of any of these, you know, these locos in this pack. Honestly, there's quite a bit of detail there. There's a little bit of weathering, scuffing, scraping, paint missing. It looks like most of the stuff is as should be. Got some pads, reservoir and a pin. Got some springs, little axle box deals. Oh yeah, and then there's the thing with the rails. So like these are the thicker rails like I was talking about with the B units. Some of the B units had this style rail as well, but again, even though these rails look more natural to what they would have been, there's still no footbridge and there's still no chain, which is kind of funky. A lot of these numbers on the number boards are absolutely terrible and wrong. You know, a lot of the numbers on this whole pack I'm finding are very spaced out. On Frisco, it's very easy to tell. The numbers are just too spaced out. Like the space between each number could be almost halved or thirded out. It's just too much. I don't know what's going on here, why this one's like so much brighter than that one. The headlight bulbs look absolutely terrible. There's not even anything there. God above. Those are a little different, but it still looks fairly terrible. Yeah, same deal. A lot of these number boards as well had these individual plates. It wasn't one big number board, so they could, you know, swap them out if necessary, which they don't seem to have. I feel like the Burlington, the CB&Qs had the individual number things, so sometimes there would be like a big gap, you know, right here. And then, of course, if it, on this side, the big gap would have been like right there. It's kind of hard to convey what I'm talking about, but these absolutely do not have it. And the backings look like ass. You know, same with this. It's just, you know, it's what I keep griping about, if you want to call it that. You know, it's just, there's so much here, but there's no, you know, it's a mile wide, but an inch deep. There's just nothing to it. It's the same crap with a couple of different paints. And like, just stick to one thing. It's hard to even look at this stuff. I mean, God above. You know, with the horns, especially, like the Great Northern. They had one of those weird-ass, you know, air whistle / horn thing. It was like a box with a couple of the trumpets sticking out. I don't even know what it was called, but I've seen them. You know, so I know that much. So it's just little details like that. You know, just come on. Not only that, but the handbrakes. So a lot of different roads had different handbrakes as well, you know, to tie down the unit on the nose. Some of these do look correct, so I'll give it to the Frisco units. That's pretty much what they look like, although they look a bit large. Now, some of your other ones, like the Fay unit, this bit in the middle here was a lot less pronounced. The space between the actual rail and the bit in the middle is a much larger gap. So a lot of these are incorrect on that front. And then who was it? One of these roads had the actual hand crank deal. It was like you know, it's like you're pumping water out of a well. I forget what they're called. So I'm thinking about it. I mean, Great Northern, or it might have been CB&Q. But anyway, one of these, actually multiple of them, are most likely wrong on that front as well, having the incorrect handbrake. Just little things like that. I mean, we could talk about another developer that has made some very nice stuff as of late, Diesel Workshop. If you've not seen any of Diesel Workshop stuff, go and check it out. Go to their website, give a look. If you're into old North American locomotives, definitely holla at the D-Dub, because they get, you know, these little minute details between roads. They get that stuff right, because I've taken like half a day one time, you know, and it really got in there with a magnifying glass, and by golly, they get little stuff like that right. This is just a blatant cash grab. It's just fling it to the wall, see what sticks, on to the next pack. You know, it's just I don't even want to continue with this recording. They're just anyway, let's look at the rest of the model. The trim around the windows looks a little too thin. It was much thicker IRL. It's with DTM units and like the TVT stuff, there's just so much glass. It's always got this blue kind of color to it, and you know, it's like looking through a friggin' fish tank or something. It just does not look right at all. Like with the bay window deal on the side here, you know, would have been a lot thicker trim-wise around the window itself. Anyways, a lot of these did have a lot of little weird things that, you know, are correct, to be fair, but it would be hard not to get them correct. Like back here, I think the batteries were back here, so that's why this weird hump is here. And these were some of the first units to have like a sealed system as well inside of the car body to keep out shit, essentially, particulates, whatnot, from getting into the engine itself. And the rads on the back, the grates, actually look pretty decent. They do have this kind of up and down staggered manner, which it may be hard to see. So that is correct. They did have these ladders on the back. Yeah, so some things are somewhat legit, I guess you could say. There were road-specific things as well, like the Northern Pacific with the light here on the nose. That one had it as well. Okay, all the C's have it. This one's got the double, the double. So that's like the only thing I can think of, because it says road-specific details in the Steam information, and it's like, what are you on, dude? What are you smoking? It's where are these road specific details besides the C unit nose lights? Because I'm not seeing them. And if you're talking about paint, GTF out of here, man. It's just yikes. Anyway, a lot of weathering on the top. does look okay. Could be toned down a little bit. Very smoky, boys. The dynamic exhaust effect is probably not here, but the exhaust effect overall looks pretty much samey same. So we're just gonna hop in one and see what it's like, I reckon. All right, I clicked on the Burlington unit here, and I turned the volume back up just so I can hear how bad it is. Let's go ahead and hop in. This is literally the same sound set that he's used for every General Electric U-boat. Again, you know, with the sounds, it's one of those things where it's like, they're not wrong, but they're not good either. Because you get a lot of people that'll try to argue that, oh, that's what they sound like. You know, kind of, yes. Kind of like how, you know, you can easily identify if someone's farting. All farts kind of sound the same. Anyway, let's not go down that rabbit hole. This is the interior. It looks very 2D. You know, the floor is like non-existent. It's just like so little effort has gone into it. The control stand looks somewhat appropriate, although this looks like galvanized steel. Look at the texturing. That's just not good. Very caca. Hot caca. The stand right here, there's actually this kind of lip that went around the stand. I don't know if it was because if you had something up here so it couldn't just fall over, maybe hit one of these switches or buttons or something like that, but there was actually a little bit of a lip, almost like a tray that protruded maybe a quarter of an inch or so. In this, it's just flat. These are not hot dog handles, to be fair, which DTM is very famous for. Hot dog. But the power handle is the incorrect shape. It was kind of curved, but this looks like a curve up, and you'll just have to go look at pictures. They don't look like that, really. It's extremely red. Why are these lights here so vibrantly colored, but then you've got paints that look like that? No. Brake stand looks weird. Looks like it's missing something on the top as well. You know, he's definitely attempting some new things in the texturing department, so we'll give it that. Hey, I've seen this one before. As far as the seat. My God, dude, you turn around and look towards the light, and it's an absolute frame nightmare, which is pretty standard for train sim stuff. Especially bad for, oh man, this window trim. Meanwhile, you'll get a couple of guys who are like, I think it looks fine, it looks great, you know, on Facebook, the ones that like to tell everybody how wrong they are about their opinions. It's because they're blind. So, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look correct. We got a little bit of detail in here with some rivets. Doors and windows should open. Absolutely no audible change with windows or doors open whatsoever. Battery switch, running lights don't work, headlight switch, nope, control, nope. Let's see what we got. He's still got those super tiny little switches, little toggles. These are in every one of his things, man. Alright, number lights, class lights. We're just gonna turn everything on. Engine control, motor cutout, none of that stuff works. Turn on the HUD there. No call bell, no power limits. So I think power limit essentially would have just cut out notch 8. Save fuel. Gouage lights. Alright, so he's attempting a new gauge light type of lighting. That is very apparent. But they still do not look good. Almost looks like the umbrella logo from Resident Evil. Just the wrong colors. The gauges themselves just don't look good. You know, he's got to start getting some new stuff here, updating and getting some new stuff. There's no real sound in this, nor any kind of retention. It's just super smooth and just, you know, feels like it would weigh like a tiny piece of plastic. There's nothing to it. Cut out rear headlights. We'll check the headlights out. All right, so that's dim. Holy frame rate Batman. Dude, these headlights suck. My frame has gone from 60 to in the teens. Oh, what? Now it's, well, it was at 30. I wonder if it says horrid step lights. Where were the step lights? They've just gotten really bad all of a sudden. Yeah, a little bit better. A little bit better. Numberboard lights as well, very uninspiring and look at the window. Oh, yeah, I'm the window. Look at me do window things. Eh? I'm good window. Good job on testing that, Dovetail, but I know DTM falls under your shroud of protection, so you just push the shit out without checking it. As same with your Train Sim World stuff. Okay, so that looks stupid as hell. Let's see if the other side does it. It does. Okay. So, I'm pretty damn certain they didn't do that in real life. Look at the gyro light. Yeah, I mean, it's okay. The color's horrible. It's just still white and bad. All right, let's back up. Train brake. I'm assuming it still has the not so fun advanced braking system. Guys, this is advanced, okay? This is really advanced. Alright, let's go ahead and throw a notch. We're gonna back up onto that C unit and then get the cars back there. Independent. The change in the tone. Holy hell, dude. Scubland. I can't even, man. I can't even. All right. The physics were okay, loading up, kinda. You know, it felt like it took a minute releasing the brakes, but then did you see how even in notch 1 it was like as soon as it got over like 1.5 miles an hour to 2 miles an hour, that son of a bitch just kept going, man. Like it would have gone, I don't know, Formula 1 car speeds in notch 1 if you let it. All right, we have got our consist. Let's check the line. Jump on the line, move your body in time. Okay, I believe you. All right. You know what? Let's check the air out. Yeah, the like detents or whatever when you're using this advanced braking is, I'm sorry. I very much heart Mike Rennie and his products, but this advanced braking, it's like, okay, one notch. There goes the audible pitch change. Good, what in the why? Hello? I think there's a ghost in the engine behind us. Why did the headlights just turn on? What the flip? Alright, so there's our dims. We looked at those. We'll look again. Mediums. Ah! It looks like he's trying to change the color a little bit. It's just still not very good at all. It looks like lemonade. And then high, so that really changes nothing except the horrible coloring on the ground. Alright, let's check that horn out. Yep, that's the same exact damn horn which I thought it would be. To be fair, it sounds like it's been tweaked a bit. I'm not hearing as many popping and clicking and all that weird stuff. Give it another notch. It's same old bell, DTM bell. There's one thing DTM is known for, it is that bell and hot dog handles. He ought to rename his company to, look at the axles on the whale bellies flashing. He ought to rename DTM to Hot Dog Handle Bell Hell Simulations. Notch 3. I can already hear overly prominent traction motors, which is a bit ridiculous. Notch 4. Yeah, I'm speeding and breaking laws, but I care not. So the railcar sounds are terrible. These are like the very, very old sounds. Oh my god, they're just so quiet. And the flashing and the wheel spinning. Notch 8, whatever. We're in the C unit. Here's the Caboose. Ho! Wow, bro. Look at that floor, man. Holy shnikes. Watch for slack action. You're basically watching slack action right now. My ability to make a YouTube video is slack, and this product is very slack. It looks like some of this stuff might be new. It doesn't look good, but it's new. Yeah, so this was the U25b and C pack from DTM. that is just not very good. You know, it's apparent that he's trying some new things as far as the texture and weather side of things, but we really need to pick up on stuff like you know, the font and the number boards and just the resolution of the logos. You know, stuff like that. The little tiny details between roads that are obviously not apparent. I really cannot wait to refund this on Steam. So that's another reason I'm going to keep this short. But I definitely do not recommend it. He's, you know, again, he's trying some different things, but I think a lot of it's just spitball, you know. Anyway, I'll end it here, and you guys have a blessed day. Take care. Bye-bye.